Here's a sneak peek of one of them. Today you'll see two A-line skirts that are woven. They are pull-up, flat front, elasticated back. Very easy to sew and easy to wear. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have two woven skirts to share. This woven skirt has a lot of options for you to choose from, so you can get a lot of variety within the one pattern. And this pattern is called Easy Does It, and it's from Pattern Emporium. It's a brand new release. It was released yesterday. I actually spent all of yesterday sewing these two skirts. Well, not the whole day because they're super easy to sew, but there's more that goes behind filming. I wish I would have had time to sew more versions, but I usually can't sew more than 2 versions for a pattern release. Picked out my favorite fabrics, and this skirt is really easy to sew. There's nothing complicated here. It's super easy to wear. It's an A-line skirt. It's pull up. It's got a flat front, elasticated back. And the difference with this one is that the front doesn't really have a waistband piece. It's a facing on the inside. So it's super flat, super neat on the front. It feels amazing on your abdominal area there. You know how I love facings. I've even hacked patterns to have facings instead of waistbands. So on the front, it's a facing. On the back, it's like a waistband. Sort of mixed technique right here, but it's super easy to achieve. The elastic is only threaded at the back, so that makes the skirt pull up, while still looking super nice and neat on the front without any extra bulk of gathers there on the front. The flat front elasticated technique has a space in my heart. I've even got a video showing you about 6 ways to do them, so there's a lot of ways to do them, and this is a different one. I could add this as a 7th one right now. The length can be several: mini, knee, midi, T, and maxi. So on the pattern piece, you'll find a lot of cut lines. You also find cut lines for short, regular, and tall heights, because all of these versions can sit differently depending on your height. So many lengths for you to choose from. And you'll see the finished lengths in the tutorial. There's a chart that shows you. If you already know how long you like your skirts and you have a preference, it's going to be super easy for you to choose what line to cut on. I'm doing a knee length version and I'm doing a maxi length version. You can choose to add center back or center front seams. The seam allowance is on the pattern, so depending on your type of fabric and the type of look that you want, you have these options. If you just want to cut the front and the back on the fold, then you can fold away all that seam allowance. I love it when skirts have these options, because sometimes you just use less fabric by having a center seam. It's just easier to place on your fabric on the layout. So I love that. I love that. And sometimes when I end up doing that to save fabric and it's not an official part of the pattern, it's like you're cheating, but we're not doing that right now. It is part of the pattern if you want it to be there. I would typically choose to use a center seam, especially on an A-line pattern, because you do save a lot of fabric doing that. Thumbs up from me for these center seams. You can also sew patch pockets on the front, utility pockets. They have an upside down triangle at the bottom of the shape. I love that. There's also flaps. And other types of pockets you could sew if you wanted to are inseam pockets. I'm not going to do those, but they are there if you want them to be. And I looked at the technique. It's super easy. If you make the mini length or the knee length, they're just going to have regular side seams. But if you go lower than that, midi, T, maxi, you have the option of doing side slits, splits on the sides. There's an extra seam allowance there for you to be able to do that if you want to. If you don't want to do that, you can fold the seam allowance away and just sew them. I am doing those slits on one of mine, the maxi one, of course, because you need to let some air in. So that is another option in this skirt. Because the Easy Does It is a brand new pattern, it's 15% off at Pattern Emporium, and all the other patterns featured are 15% off through Tuesday noon, 22nd of October, but in Australia. If you look at the website, when you look at these new pattern releases, it's going to be a countdown, so you always see how long you have until the sale ends. It's easier than trying to figure out the time change, because it's like 10 or 11 hours, something like that. Not only is the Easy Does It skirt on sale, there are other patterns that can go with it to make up your outfits. So there's a lot of patterns that I've already featured on the channel that are on sale. Have a look at those. My affiliate link is at the top of the comment section pinned, super easy to find, and also in the description box. If you do end up clicking on my link, it takes you directly to the website. If you end up purchasing, I do receive a small commission from the designer, and that is one of the ways I make an income creating helpful sewing videos here on on YouTube. You can pretty much use any type of woven material to make these skirts, from the very lightweight to a little bit heavier, from super flowy to a bit more structured. Flowy would be 100% rayon. Just make sure your fabric is not sheer. In that case, I would use a slip. Sometimes rayon can be sheer if it's in the light colors. Then there's heavier fabrics made out of rayon, rayon twill, rayon crepe. Then there's rayon linen blends that are amazing. There's tencel, tencel twill, silk. For these flowier fabrics that sometimes are lighter, I wouldn't use the patch pockets. I think they would sag. That's what pockets do on fabrics like this. I probably wouldn't do any inseam pockets either, just because these fabrics are harder to work with. But if you want to have the patience and take your time, go ahead. It's not that you can't, it's just that I wouldn't. I would probably keep the side slits anyway, even if the fabric was lightweight, just to let the air in and just for an aesthetic look. But that's up to you. Now, if you choose more structured fabrics, this is when I would do the utility cargo pocket, add all the seams you want, all the top stitching. You know, imagine denim would be amazing, 100% linen, cotton twill, even some wool suiting, some corduroy if you wanted to make a nice one for the winter. Then there's lighter fabrics like chambray. Another fabric you could use is cotton sateen. My knee-length version is a cotton sateen. This is leftover fabric I had from making the downtown jacket, also from Pattern Emporium, that was released maybe a month or two ago. Love that jacket. I'll show you some images over here. So I always knew there was a skirt coming someday, and I left that fabric for that. So I'm very, very happy to have that set. My maxi is an embroidered tencel fabric that I got for my birthday, my 45th birthday shopping spree that my husband gifted me at the beginning of the year. So it was just enough to make the maxi. I was able to fit my pieces in, of course, with a center seam. And I'm super happy to have this maxi skirt in such an amazing fabric. Other notions you need is a little bit of fusible interfacing, because you need to fuse the front facing piece slightly curved. You also need elastic for the back part of the waist, 3/4 inch wide elastic, 2 centimeters. Sizing available is from 4 to 30 Australian. This goes up to a 58 and 3/4 inch hip. The skirt is A-lined. You need to choose your size based on your full hip to get the proper fit. At the waist, you know, before the elastic is in, of course, it's going to be much larger. It's going to come in, but that waist area needs to be at least as big as your hips are so that you can pull it up over your hips. I wouldn't blend in a waist size, because then it's not going to fit your hips. If you have a very, very small waist compared to the hip size, I would just regulate that with the elastic on the back. It's always the same with pull-up styles, shorts, pants, skirts. You need that opening on the top to fit your widest part. Another trick is to put it in through the top. A lot of us have a smaller bust area here than our full hip, so if that's slightly snug, you can get it in through the top and then it just sits on your waist. That is something I've done in the past when I feel my little snug here going up past my hips, you know. So the ease at the waist is going to be regulated by how tight you make the elastic. I have a rule that works for me every single time. I just measure my waist, divide that in two, because you just need it for the back. And then to that measurement of half of the waist, I take away 2 inches, and that's the length of my elastic, and it always works really well. I never feel it's super tight or I wanted it a little tighter, you know. Give that a go. And then remember, you need to think about how you like to wear your garments. I know some people like to wear them super low, sort of at the high hip area, not at the actual waist. I think if you have a defined waist and a defined curve like that, you can't really choose. Like if I pulled my skirt down to my high hip and started living my life with the movement, you know, the elastic and everything is just going to come riding up, trying to find the smallest part of your body. So I think hourglass, pear shape, you don't really have a choice where you want to wear your things. If you want to wear them lower, they're just going to end up coming up to your waist anyway. But if you have more of a rectangular figure, I think you can sort of play around and wear your garments at whatever height you want them to be. It doesn't really have to be at your waist. So make sure you think about that before you commit on a length of elastic and the comfort level that you like. I measured my pattern pieces, and at the hip level, you're going to have about 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. So it's going to be nice and relaxed. It's not going to be excessive ease either, but nice, comfortable to live your life. Personal fitting, nothing really, just choosing my size, 16 Australian at the moment, and then just figuring out the length that I wanted, because the knee length, the official cut line for the knee length, is a little too short for me. So I added 4 centimeters, 1.5 inches to the knee length, so that it's at my knee, just because I'm a little bit taller. And then for the maxi, I just cut it at the longest length. I really didn't have any more fabric to make it any longer than that. So I just went with the longest length for the tall person. Lowest cut line there. No fitting adjustments, no blending sizes, nothing like that. Super, super painless. I have filmed sewing for you, the most important steps, especially how to deal with the waist situation. You'll see it's a very easy skirt to put together. It doesn't take that long at all. I think it took me around 2.5 hours to sew each of the skirts, but that's including basting the hems and doing all sorts of things that I know a lot of you don't do. So it's not a project that's going to take you all day. You can start in the morning and wear it in the afternoon if you want. And I wish I would have had time to make more. This is my print cotton sateen. The wrong side is white, and this is my layout. Now, because it's going to be easier to save fabric, I'm going to have a center that's selvage of the fabric. Both the front and the back have extra seam allowance in the center if you want to use it. So in this case, I've just shuffled my pattern piece to meet the center and left the seam allowance dangling right there. I'm not using that. It fits perfectly. This is non-directional fabric. I'm going to be able to make it in about a yard of nice wide fabric, so I'm very happy. This is the front waistband on the fold, the back waistband on the fold. I'm not doing pockets because this is a print and you wouldn't be able to see them. This is the front waistband, but it's actually a facing. You just cut one single layer and it's supposed to be interfaced. So my piece of fabric is slightly larger. I've already interfaced that. I've gone through the process, fused it on. I'm going to do block fusing, which means my piece is not going to shrink and it's going to fit the waistline perfectly. I always use a rotary cutter for this. It's just so much easier and so precise. It's rare when I cut using a scissors these days. So the waist piece for the front is exactly the same size as my pattern piece. The pattern piece came only half like this, so you were supposed to put on the fold, but I like to cut it in a single layer and avoid the fold if possible, so that's why I just replicate another piece there, stick it on, and then just have one full piece. Here are the pattern pieces for my first easy does it skirt. This is a print right here, like I showed you before. I actually got confused. I ended up with a center seam on the front piece. The back is on the fold. In my head, I had it the other way around, but doesn't matter. At least I got my skirt from the small amount of fabric I had left over. These are patch pockets that you can sew on. There's a patch pocket. Here's a pocket flap. I'm not doing that with this one because of the print. You won't see it. And then that's the front facing piece. It's curved, it's already interfaced, and the back waistband piece is just a rectangle and it's going to match the length of the back right there. This is the area where we're going to have elastic. We're gonna use 3/4 inch wide elastic for that. Before doing anything, I'm gonna stay stitch the top of the waistline, and I'm gonna do this for the front and the back. This is the back. This is the one that doesn't have a center seam, so I'm just gonna stay stitch up to the middle, then flip and stay stitch from the side to the middle again, using a seam allowance smaller than 3/8. That's what we're gonna use later to sew on the waist. You know, this has a potential of stretching out while you're sewing, and we don't want the waistline to end up larger than our waist pieces. Super easy seams. I'm going to sew the center seam first. I find it easier to serge and then sew, but you could sew and then serge. It doesn't really matter. Top stitch it just on the edge, pushing the seam allowance to the left when you're looking at the fabric from the right side. I'm serging all the side seams. It's an easy step that I can get out of the way super quickly. I'm also going to serge the bottom of the skirt so that it's all ready for the hem later. I always find when I just do mindless things like serging, it's not like an effort, but it surely reduces the actual sewing time later, so I enjoy doing that. This is the front waistband piece. It's actually not a waistband, it's a facing. So on the bottom edge right here, this is where we need to serge, and then this top edge is the one that's going to be attached to the front waist. Okay, we're going to put the waistband pieces together with the skirt pieces before sewing the side seams, so we have them separately. This is the front. This is where I have a center front seam that I edge stitched. I put my facing on top, right sides together, matching up the raw edges on the top. And now we're going to sew this with 3/8 seam allowance. Because this is slightly curved, I am going to do a few snips and then we're going to understitch. After snipping, we're going to understitch this facing. So extending it, the seam allowance is going to go underneath the front facing right there. This later is going to enclose the back, so I don't want the understitching to get in the way. So it's stopping shy of the edges there. This is how I'm going to sew it. The facing is on my left hand and the seam allowance is right under it. So we're going to put the front aside, just leave it like it is, and we'll be back to join them together once the back is done. This is the back waistband. It's just a rectangle. I've already been to the iron and pressed it in half lengthwise, wrong sides together. So this is what we're going to sew now to the top of the back skirt. This is going to match 1 to 1. And we're just going to match them up, aligning all the raw edges, sew and serge, and that will create the channel to put the elastic through. This is my back elastic. Whenever I'm going to do elastic just at the back, I just measure my whole waist, divide that in 2, take away 1.5 to 2 inches, and that is the length of my back elastic right there. This is the tiny little waistband that we sewn. I've pressed the seam down like that, so nice and flat. And now we can just thread it through. Once it's through, we can stitch it on the sides just to keep the elastic in place. And then we can join the skirt back to the skirt front. Okay, there's the back, the elastic is in, super neat. Now I'm gonna bring in the front. I had been to the iron and pressed that facing towards the wrong side, but it's still loose. So we can just put that there, extend that facing up, bring our back piece, put them right sides together. Now this top of the waistband of the back is gonna meet that edge right there. And then this front facing is just gonna come over and cover it. And that's how we are going to enclose the side of the waistband. Now we just need to pin the whole side seam over here. Sew it, including what we have up here, and then that's going to finish one side and then repeat on the other. Now, if you were doing pockets, you would do the pockets first. The pockets would already be here, the inseam pockets, and then you would finish your side seam and then finish all of this. But because I don't have pockets, it's going to be super easy. So on this side, it's the same. Bring the top of the waistband to match that seam. Bring the facing over, that seam allowance as well. And that's how we sew the side seams. Now that the side seams are sewn, we can flip this and you can see how the back is inside, super neat. And then on the front, we have a facing. So nice. The skirt is basically done. What I'm gonna do is hand baste this facing down and top stitch it so it's not flapping around. And then the hem, and that's it. This is my first Easy Does It skirt. This is a cotton sateen. It's amazing. It's what you saw in the tutorial. The print is so beautiful. I love all the colors in here. So, so pretty. And now I have a set to go with my downtown jacket. Now, this one, I got confused when I was placing the pattern pieces. I wasn't wearing my glasses, to be honest. I should wear my glasses 100% of the time. Things are getting pretty blurry without them, but sometimes it's just exhaustion of feeling the weight here and right here. And, you know, I have to work on getting a more comfortable pair of glasses, basically. I didn't read properly and I ended up getting a center front seam. It doesn't matter. It's still super discreet and a center front seam is not wrong. I have edge stitched it, although I had planned initially in my mind that the seam was going to be on the back. It's not there. It doesn't matter. You can't see it. So the back is all on the fold and the front has the center front seam where I did some edge stitching. On the inside, you can see my seam is right there. The hem allowance is 5/8 of an inch on the pattern, so that's what I folded up. I actually did sew it by machine just because I was running short of time. I would have done it by hand, but I didn't this time. And here is that front facing on the inside, I have top stitched it down so it stays nice and flat, and the back elasticated area. I'll show it to you from the inside so you can see. This is a good one to show because it's white and you can really see what's going on there. Now, this waistband technique means that the seam allowance is all going to go towards the front. Maybe you can see this is the back, this is the front, that's the elastic. So the way that this was enclosed means the seam allowance is all going towards the front. But I don't really mind. I just pressed it open from the bottom, and then up to some point it goes together, and that's fine with me. I'm never going to be snipping and doing things like that. So I always like pressing things open. That is my preferred way of construction, especially with cottons and fabrics that are a little heavier. You know, with really, really light fabrics, I don't mind serging together and pressing everything to one side because there's less bulk there. But this is super neat like that. There is my center front seam. The facing piece is serged on the bottom. That's the interface piece, and it's so, so neat, super lovely. It was so easy to make up, and when it was done, it's just so beautiful. I went to grab my downtown jacket, put them together, and it's just so amazing. I'm gonna be so happy with the set, but I'm also just gonna wear it separately, obviously. There's so many colors I could grab from this skirt, put up on the top. So let's see. This is my first Easy Does It skirt from Pattern Emporium. Mine is a size 16, beautifully A-line skirt. This is the knee length. Mine's a little longer than the original knee length, correct for my height. I've paired it with one of my Be Mine balloon sleeve tops in pink, beautiful. This is a cotton sateen. There's quite a few beautiful colors in here that I can pull from to wear on the top. And I've got my blouse tucked in. You can see the elasticated feature on the back, which makes it super comfortable and just a pull-on skirt. You don't need zippers. At the front, I have a center front seam, which is an option. And the front on the inside is finished with a facing. Extremely comfortable, super easy to do. Very clever sewing construction that I show you in my video. And this is just one of the many ways I can wear the skirt on its own. But you can see at the end of this lookbook that I've got my dream outfit to show you. How beautiful are the sleeves on the Be Mine balloon sleeve top? It's amazing. I have a tutorial all about this blouse, and it's also on sale for this release. Bubble sleeve top from Pattern Emporium. I've got it tucked in so you can see the skirt details. Actually, you'll see everything tucked in here because it just suits the style of the skirt, and these tops are a little more voluminous. So it goes perfectly. I love the fullness of the sleeve. It's so beautiful, and it matches perfectly with the A-line shape of the skirt. I think the outfit looks super balanced, and it's such an amazing fit. I'm very, very glad I added 1.5 inches to the length of this skirt, otherwise it would end up being more of a mini skirt for me. This is the shortest I'm comfortable with the skirt, and I really love it this length. This is such a cute outfit. Another pink top, but this time a little more casual. This is a linen sleeveless top. It's a refashion I did a couple of years ago. I've got some casual pink sandals here. Very different outfit to the one you saw at the beginning with the other pink top. When you like a certain color, you usually find more than one piece in the same color, and that's what happens to me with pink. I love that I can bring out all these beautiful tops to match with this gorgeous, gorgeous Easy Does It skirt. Again, tucked in because I just think it looks better. This is quite a long shirt, so it wouldn't match the style. This shirt is a little more voluminous, a little longer. I've got it open here, and that's how I think it's going to look the best. It's too much volume to tuck in under the skirt, I think. And I think open like a little topper looks really, really balanced with a fitted white cami underneath. That is my trick for styling, and I think the colors look gorgeous. The purple is perfect. There's a lot of purple in this beautiful print, so I'm really, really happy with how this looks. And it's another way I can wear this casually, but also feel like I made an effort. These are all my favorite colors, and I feel amazing. This is another refashion I did a couple of years ago, I think in 2020. So you can see I enjoy my me-mades for many, many, many years. Okay, and ta-da, this is what I was dreaming about. I used the same print to make the downtown jacket a few weeks ago. I always knew I had about a yard and some left. I was really hoping it was enough to make a skirt, and it was perfect. The Easy Does It skirt goes perfectly with the style. The downtown jacket is a little shorter. It matches the A-line shape beautifully. It's such a nice balanced outfit. The colors make me really happy. I've got a simple white cami tucked in underneath, just keeping it very simple. You don't need anything to draw more attention. Everything is so beautiful here with the print and the style. My husband, he saw this, he really loved it, so that makes me happy as well. And I'm one happy person that sews. This was just a dream and it's made true, and I love that. Love that about sewing. As you know, I've returned to the maxi skirt since the beginning of last year. So it's been a wonderful sort of year and a half of maxi skirts again. And I was super excited to use this fabric for my long version. This one goes all the way down. This is a beautiful tencel with embroidery on it. It's got these yeah. So the embroidery goes down. So it's like a vertical feature, sort of, but with all those round embroidered details. It's so beautiful. And with this one, I have the front all normal on the fold. And then I do have the center back seam over here. If you don't want the center back or the center front seams, it can take up a lot more fabric. I'm just letting you know. That's the reason why I do the center back seams, but I also think they are pretty. So why not? So I do have a center back seam. I did edge stitch it as well just to help it lay flat. And because I was running short of fabric, my back waistband had to have an extra little seam there that you can't really see. It's all hidden. The goal was to get the skirt, and I used up every single piece of my fabric. So that is always very satisfying for me. And on the inside, I did top stitch down the facing as well. The difference with this one is the length. It's wider at the bottom, and I do have the slits, because if a skirt didn't have slits, I would add them. It's just something I like, and of course if the skirt has them, I'm going to utilize that option. I did hand-baste everything, so nothing was twisting, and all of that can happen when you sew, and it's just gorgeous. It's amazing. Let's see it on. Here is my second Easy Does It skirt, this time the maxi length. This is an embroidered tencel. It's a beautiful, beautiful fabric that's got beautiful drape, but it's not too lightweight, which makes it perfect for a skirt. It's not transparent. This is the longest length available. I do have the side slits. I have my sweet Toka bubble sleeve top tucked in under there. You can see the waist detail flat at the front, gorgeous, comfortable. And then the elastic at the back, which is super discreet. It's not too voluminous either. Here's a closer look at the skirt. Now the slits are super easy to sew, super simple. They don't come up too high. I think they are always necessary on long skirts, and if some patterns don't have a slit, I will add one. In this case, I didn't need to add anything because this was one of the options, and I love having the slits on both sides. What can I say about this print? This fabric is so gorgeous. The camera doesn't do it justice. In person, it's got a slight sheen. It's just so beautiful and perfect for this skirt. This top looks beautiful tucked in. With the type of blue tones in this Easy Does It skirt, I could match up several different colors on the top, solids of course, because I consider this a print on my skirt. Be Mine balloon sleeve top, beautiful. Pink, I love the combination of the blue tones and the pink, it's amazing. Kept navy sandals. It's a very, very casual outfit, beautiful. I love the pink bag as well. And this outfit makes me very happy. I feel amazing. I really love both styles. And I think with this blouse, because it's a little more voluminous, it should be tucked into the skirt. So that's what I've done here. Here is my long easy desert skirt paired with my downtown jacket. This is one of the versions I made a few weeks ago, a more summery version. It's shorter, it's got short sleeves, 100% linen. And I do have enough of this linen to make a short easy desert skirt. I just didn't have time in this opportunity, but I love it paired with the long version. I've got red shoes and a red bag just to liven up the outfit a little bit. Classic color combination. I love this print. I can't even tell you how much I love this embroidery. It's so amazing. It was quite a pricey fabric. I was very happy when I found it, and I'm happier now that it's an actual garment. It's gorgeous. In my eyes, of course, I think it's amazing. The silhouette of the downtown jacket being shorter, I think matches perfectly. I think if it was a longer jacket, it would interfere with the volume of the skirt because it does go wider as it goes more A-line towards the bottom. So I think I'd always want to pair it with something shorter like this, if it's not tucked in. Another blue type of outfit, because why not? Navy is one of my faves and I have quite a few garments. This is a short vest in a quite structured denim. It's got princess seams. Because it's semi-fitted to the body, it's really good not being tucked in. I think it matches the silhouette of the skirt perfectly. And I love having all of these options. I'm so happy I have new garments and I can just easily pull out so many looks with garments I already have. I love that, and I think the vest goes perfectly. It's denim, you know, you can't go wrong. What about this bag? It's so pretty. I love that it's got those different tones of green, and it just brings a little bit of extra color to the outfit to not make it all completely blue. And you'd seen my casual sleeveless linen shirt before. It goes perfectly, of course, with this skirt, tucked in, pink sandals. What's not to love about this outfit? It makes me so happy. I'm gonna be so fresh when I wear this out in real life. The feeling I get with these colors and these styles is just amazing. So I'm comfortable, I'm not constricted, nothing's tugging at my waist. I can eat, I can breathe, and I can live my life while also sporting beautiful, beautiful me-made garments. It's just the best thing and what I love the most about sewing. I really wanted to make a denim mini skirt. I didn't have time, but I would have loved to make one. I wouldn't have made it that mini, probably just about 3 inches above the knee. That is the shortest I can go, and it would have been amazing to have something like that for a very, very, very casual setting. I would have loved to do the patch pockets. I love patch pockets, but you see these two fabrics weren't really conducive to them. I did have fabric left over from this one to make pockets, but you wouldn't see them. So when you don't see pockets on prints like this, I don't do them. In this one, if I would have had fabric, it would have messed up all the dots. I was not really able to match up the small piece of fabric I had left over to match these sort of embroidery details. So both fabrics weren't really conducive to doing the patch pockets. But I suggest you do them. I think they look really cool. It would have looked amazing on a denim skirt or a linen skirt. Dreams. But you know, I'm always making skirts. I'll probably pick up this pattern again and make those ideas I had in my mind in the near future because I really enjoyed it and it was such an easy sew. I'm very, very happy. I think you'd love them. If you like wearing skirts, you're going to be happy. If you're not wearing skirts because you have something against them, I don't understand. Maybe you should give them a go. You're missing out. It's so easy to get dressed up in a skirt and it's just so comfortable, so breezy. And you can wear them in winter also. Just wear some tights, some leggings underneath with boots and you'll be okay. So skirts, you know, I'm a skirt person. I've been wearing skirts since I was in my teens. When my friends were wearing jeans, I was wearing skirts. So it's something that I've really, really enjoyed my whole life. I want to pass that on to you. Maybe you would love them if you tried them. Remember, the Easy Desert skirt and other patterns are 15% off through Tuesday noon, 22nd of October, Monday night over here. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a cat update. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a stray cat that came and started just hanging around my balcony upstairs, just outside of my bedroom. Super skinny, totally feral, just completely worn down, and it just looked exhausted. It did not look well. It didn't look like a healthy cat, but I started feeding it, and it stayed on my balcony for a very long time. I then found out from a woman that lives on the next road, parallel to mine, that she's a sort of community cat, and it's a girl cat. I assumed it was a boy. I don't know. I don't know why I thought it was a boy cat. It's a female cat, and she's over 10 years old. And she's been moving streets inside this community. She's been living everywhere. She doesn't really live with people. She would just hang around and get fed and then leave and move on. But this time I felt she was really happy here. I made her a bed. She started sleeping on the bed. At first she wasn't grooming at all, which sort of tells you the cat's not that well. And then she was grooming and sleeping. She seemed to accept my presence really well. I gave her food. I bought her premium food once I found out she was sort of like an elderly cat. But then on Saturday, I fed her in the morning, and then I never saw her again. I don't know if something happened to her. Her food is still there. Her bed's still there. She just never came back. And I really don't know who to ask. I don't know. I really, really don't know what happened to her. I'm really sad if something did happen to her. I'm also glad I gave her a hand for a couple of weeks, you know, if that meant anything for a creature. I'm happy I was able to do that, but I'm sad that she's not around anymore because I loved going out to see her in the balcony. So yeah, sort of sad ending to my cat situation. She was pretty elderly from what I gather. She did look like that. She wasn't a super agile cat either. That's all I have to share. Not the best news, but that's how life goes, especially with feral animals like this. You want to do your best, but they just don't get it. So that's all from me. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you back on this channel with more sewing next week. Bye.